Here's my CTC panel in action. Throw left-bound traffic. Throw the switch and the dwarf signal lights. Throw the switch back. And then left-bound traffic here. Or right-bound traffic. And right-bound traffic. This is the other end. You can hear it throw. These are a cutout. So if you have a crew and you need to go on ABS and cut that out, it still shows the green signal indication from the ABS, but this doesn't work and this doesn't work. So I'm going to put a delay in there eventually. And this switch will be for the code button sounds. That's just a push button, momentary on. Eventually, I hope to figure out the circuit for doing all the codes with this and putting a delay in it. But you can see I turned that back on. Let's say you want to go right bound traffic and throw the switch. And you push the code button and you're going right bound traffic. Or left bound traffic, throw the switch. And when I clear that, then that green signal will come up. It was showing a yellow. Okay, this is how to hook up the S6 signal cards for CTC. So first we're going to connect a plus and minus power. And then I'm going to move all these detector inputs over to this card. And the outputs will come from the red, like that red number 1. And go to the input in that card. These are all the signal drivers here, and they're connected directly to the signals on the layout. Okay, these are the detector inputs, the blue ones, and that red is a jumper. And the red is from the turnout, and that's from a detector. So I'm going to move these over here. Now on these two, I'm going to leave them because there's only one input and we only need one input going in. This additional card gives us more inputs over here. It solves your numerous input problem. Or you can do diodes if you want to. I think it's easier just to use the signal card, and it's fairly cheap. Okay, now I've got all the detector wires hooked up here and they're jumpers. And these are the wires that go from the red outputs into the inputs. And one of the inputs, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I left the detector for number 6 hooked up. I left number 5 hooked up. Those are my yard track signals that I'm using at booty. They're just kind of extra signals. I left this number 2 detector, which is I think the sighting track on booty, and I left the number 1 detector hooked up directly into this signal card. These are all the signal wires going out to the signals here. Now for the communication lines, this is 10 connector wire. And you just strip it. It's kind of similar to Cat 5, except it's got 24 gauge wires in it, and there's 10 colors. Okay, now we've got the communication wires cable hooked up to this terminal block, and then the bottom of this will come out and go directly into the signal cards, and I'll show how I wired that too. Okay, this looks like a mess, but I'll clean it up later. Basically, I've connected all the matching pair colored wires. For instance, this brown. And I put it into this board right there with number 4. Now that's hooked up to the detector. So the ones that go to detector go to the actual input of the detector. And one I just hooked up here is the gray. That blue wire and that gray, that's the blue wire from the detector number 3. And this white is from detector number 2. It's hooked up to the detector number 2. And then detector number 1 is this one. One other thing, this gray wire actually goes to the CTC machine. So right now I've got it going around the corner to my panel right there. But the reason I hooked up this terminal block is when I run it to a big panel through the ceiling, I can just hook up the gray cable to that and I don't have to go directly into the boards, and I can test it and know it works. So eventually the wires will go under the layout and they'll go up in the ceiling and across, and the CTC board will be in that room right there where the track plan is. Okay, now hooking up the red and black wire, that's for the switch machine for the tortoise. So these two wires here from the middle, the red and black, go directly to the tortoise under there. And this is the bypass switch, so they go to the middle. Now from the CTC panel, the red and black wires, they go to the outside on one side. You can see them there, the outside. Whoops, one popped off. On the other side, on this right side, I've got these two wires that come from the local switch, and they'll feed power into the local switch. If you've got that switch thrown, this one will work if it's on local power, and it'll throw the turnout. Okay, the turnout switch, local turnout, and bypass switch are wired up. That's bypassed. That's on local. You'll see the turnout move there. And I'll mount this on the fascia there. So I'll get a cleaner panel later. That looks better like the other one. But that's your local turnout in case your crew needs to throw a local switch. And this is the lockout. When it's thrown like that, dispatcher's got control. So that about wraps it up for this CTC install. Obviously I'm going to clean up the wires and get everything organized and mount it under the layout so you don't see it. The wiring diagram is this right here for the CTC machine. Those are the CTC wires. Red and black for the tortoise, and they're coming from the switch. And then you've got your detector wires going to the detectors in the CTC panel. And you've got the yellow and blue, which are the signal direction wires. And they show the aspect, so they go into the green signal. These are the ones that control the direction. Those three, the purple, green, and orange, control the direction. They come off the switch. If anyone wants this diagram of the wiring, I can photocopy it for you and make it and send you a copy. Now we'll do a little demonstration of the signals. Okay, we're at the CTC panel, and I don't have the track power on, but we can just show how to line up the turnout and signals. So right now it's lined up to the left. That is all stop, basically. So it's absolute stop, all signals to red. This is right bound traffic. And when you throw the switch, you can hear the tortoise throw. You don't get the mainline signal indication, but it's inferred. Throw that back. This is left bound direction, and which is southbound. So we're going the other way, so the signals are red. And this tall signal is green. And then I showed you the local turnout, and there's the cutout and how to throw the turnout. The signals do change when you throw the turnout. And also on the panel, if you have an absolute stop at the next signal, then that one goes to yellow. It doesn't show on the panel until you clear the following signal. That's about it. And here's the panel with the train in the block. About to drop the switch there. Drop the signal. Yeah, there it goes.